Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that's perfectly balanced as all things should be. I'm your host, Max Moser, here on a beautiful Saturday night. Hope you're doing well. Grateful you're here. Thanks for checking us out. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and theinfinitybros.com. I'm here with three other bros and a special guest today. So we're going to quick get through our bros so we can maximize our time with him. He's on a time crunch. We've never had a guest on a time crunch before. Isaac Edlund. Isaac, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here tonight, guys. I'm excited to talk about WandaVision again. I mean, this is I love that this is our running thing that we're just talking about WandaVision every single week now. I love it. It's the best.
Well, hold on to your butts because it's going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier here.
Hold on to your butts.
Dude, so chill out with that. Infinity Bro Zayne, he's back from a long hiatus. Zayne, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. Glad you invited me back.
Infinity Bro Mark. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be the people's Infinity Bro and more WandaVision conspiracy talk.
And we talked about him last week, and we plugged him at the beginning of the show. We have from the Power Trip KFAN 100.3, director of digital media at iHeartRadio. He writes for the Minnesota Vikings. He's the host of the Here and Now podcast and 5-time Initials Majors winner. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. He's famous. AJ Mansour. AJ, how you doing, man?
Hey, guys. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to... we've been in quarantine for so long. I haven't had the opportunity. Typically, my conversations on all things that are interesting to me happen at the water cooler at work. The water cooler at work right now is a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and my wife, who could all care less. So I'm excited to talk about some theories and some fun stuff and dive deep with you guys. Thanks for having me.
You're a big Nintendo Switch guy, AJ, right? Am I correct on that? What are you playing right now since you've been quarantined?
We've been on a huge Mario kick. So the fun part about Nintendo and the reason I've always obviously clearly I'm judging here, but I'm looking at the screen cap on this Skype call. We're all about the same age, and Nintendo was just the jam back in the day. That's what we grew up with. So I've always loved Nintendo, but what I love about it today is I have a 6-year-old who's really getting into it. He went to bed tonight before bed. We started Detective Pikachu for the first time. I hadn't seen it yet either. So we're about halfway through that. He's really into Pokemon, and we have been playing, my goodness, I'm blanking. What's the Mario game that just came out?
Oh, man, Mario Odyssey. We've got, is it the one with the hat? It's the one with the hat, isn't it?
Origami King.
Oh, Origami King's great, too. If it's Origami King, that game is amazing. It's a fantastic
I feel like that just came out not too long ago. Oh, 3D World. Yeah. Okay,
yes.
that just came out.
Yes.
He's getting really into that. So it's fun to play with him, fun to watch him get through that. And he's getting really good at video games. So it's kind of a fun future that we have to look forward to.
Yeah. Are you big on the Isaac, what's the Marvel game that you and I have been diving into?
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Have you played Marvel Ultimate Alliance yet?
I have not yet. So the tough part with Marvel stuff for me right now is I love it. But he's a little too young to really get into the Marvel movies. His favorite is Black Panther, though. He was Black Panther for Halloween, and we went to a public Halloween gathering, a social distance kind of thing, and there was a runway show for all the kids in their costumes. And I was trying to get him to go out there in his Black Panther costume and do a floss. Okay, we had planned this. He was going to go out there and he was going to do the floss thing. And he walks out there on his own volition. He walks out, pulls his Black Panther mask down, gives the Wakanda Forever, and does a backflip. All on his own. Never did the floss. He just did his own Black Panther move, which is sweet.
That's so cool. That is fantastic, man. Good for him. That kid has a bright future. Just off that story.
We're raising that one right.
Seriously, good for you, man.
Is it wrong to say I'm jealous of a 6-year-old right now?
Honestly, if I didn't have to dig through my phone like a proud dad and take 10 minutes to find it, I'd pull that video and show you right now because it was a proud moment.
Well, we're gonna dive into AJ, what we do, and we did not give you a heads up on this, and that's okay. Every time we have a guest on, we like to do what we call the Infinity Gauntlet, where we send random questions your way. They could be about literally anything. And we want to hear your answers, and knowing you, I think we'll get some good answers in hearing these stories today. We're going to start with Isaac. Isaac's our softball question. They're just going to get a little progressively harder, I think, for you, or maybe a little more detailed is the way I'd put it. So, Isaac, we'll go ahead and start with you. Go ahead.
All right, so my question, like Max said, this is the softball question. So my first question is, if you were given one superpower, what would it be and why?
Man, I'm all about the speed, so I think I'd go with super speed. If I don't know, that's the best way to say it. But yeah, get things done quick. I don't have a whole lot of patience, so I'd use that for chores. I'd use that for shopping in the grocery store. If there was a superpower where I could take that speed and pass it off to my wife when we're shopping, I think that would be the one that I would really be looking for. Because I think I do have that superpower when I go shopping alone. But if I'm with her, I can't. I have to be patient, and I can't rush her too much. So I'd go super speed.
Not just speed, but the transference of the speed power as well. Zane, go ahead. We'll go to you, man.
All right, we're switching gears a little bit on this one, AJ. My question for you is, you are tasked to create a new flavor of Cheez-It. What cheese do you use and why?
A new flavor of Cheez-It. I'm a big like spicy cheese guy. So I would have to go. I know there is a pepper jack one, but for whatever reason, I've never liked the pepper jack flavored crackers and stuff like that. I love pepper jack cheese, so maybe I'd improve a pepper jack Cheez-It. But I would probably, they just brought back the 3D Doritos. I don't know if you guys have seen those lately.
Oh yeah.
I'd find a way to 3D pop them. I don't know what that process is or how they take it from a flat chip to a pop chip, but I would make a 3D, what did I say? Pepper jack Cheez-It. That's what I would do.
Cheez-It. All right, interesting. I like that.
How hot are you turning the heat up on that one?
I like the heat, so I mean, I don't know what was Scovilles, is that what they measure it in? I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I'd give it a little kick.
Yeah, you'll do the hot ones bit, yeah. All right, I couldn't get you out of here without asking at least one Minnesota Vikings question. So, for those that don't know, we have tons of people that listen across the nation, and by tons I mean like 5. But we're big Vikings fans here, a couple of us, especially Mark. Can you describe your personality using a Minnesota Vikings play in NFL history?
Oh, Minnesota Vikings play. That's a cool question. I'll avoid the Minneapolis Miracle. Just that's the first one that pops in my mind. My personality, I guess, is going to be. I'll stick with that era of the Case Keenum season. And my personality is most like all those situations where Case Keenum was about to get sacked and he wiggled his way out of a tough situation and became very likable. So I'm putting my personality in a sense where I talk myself into a lot of bad situations and can squeeze my way out of it when it all looks like it's gonna, go crazy and be a bad ending there. I'll throw on the charm and kind of swoop in and take it from there.
Bummer, he went a Case Keenum route. I don't like that. Well, I'm not too thrilled about that.
I was all in on the Case Keenum.
I know, and he said Case Keenum because the debate with us a lot of times, AJ, is these guys will be like, well, you guys should have kept Case Keenum. And I'm like, Kirk Cousins, man. It's all about Kirk
it's not
Cousins.
about that. You disrespect Case Keenum so much.
That's not it, dude. That ain't it.
Issue.
That ain't it, dog.
Where's he playing now?
All right, Mark, we'll let you have the last question.
All right, AJ. Hopefully you're a wrestling guy. It's 1999. We're doing a WCW versus WWF ultimate match. What is your stipulation? And from each organization, who is in the ring?
Anyone, you guys mentioned the initials game. Anyone who follows the initials game knows that when I win, I throw out some Goldberg tweets, or GIFs, I should say. So he would be my WCW. I don't know how you can't go with the famed matchup. Came to fruition at one point, but the Goldberg Stone Cold back in the heyday of both organizations, I'd throw it that direction. And did you say what was the stipulation?
Yep. What's the stipulation?
Man, they weren't all about the gimmicks. I guess Stone Cold could be with driving the cement trucks and doing all that stuff up there. So I'd say, man, I'm gonna take the easy route. I'm sorry. I'll go no stipulations, no holds barred. Let's go in and out of the ring. Let's see once and for all who's better, Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those were my two back in the day.
All right.
Stone Cold has a pretty interesting podcast actually.
Broken Skull Ranch.
That is the Infinity Gauntlet. AJ, you have made it through the Infinity Gauntlet. Congratulations to you. We're not going to bury the lead, though. If you're listening to this episode, you're probably wanting to check out WandaVision. We're going to keep the conversation going, too, after AJ leaves as well. But we want to make sure that we give him time to talk about his feelings on it. So we're going to go ahead and put our ratings bumper right here.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible, and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step.
And also, we're going to be spoiling things for this episode. So if you haven't seen episode 7 yet, Breaking the Fourth Wall of WandaVision, what are you doing? Turn this off. Go watch it. It's like 10 minutes long, but the credits are 30 minutes long. And come on back and listen to this. This is your spoiler warning for episode 7.
This is...
Prepare yourself.
An Infinity Bros.
Prepare yourself.
Spoiler. Warning.
So, AJ, real quick, because a couple of us have been on the show, so I want to ask AJ, Zane, and I, so I'm going to start with you, AJ. What is your thoughts on this series so far? How have you felt with the shift from film to week and essentially 20 to 30 minute chunks and bites? How have you enjoyed that as a consumer of the MCU, and what are your thoughts on the MCU kind of coming into this show?
Yeah, the MCU, I think, is a super interesting toy that Disney has to play with, and I think that they're doing a good job of it. Obviously, they've been able to successfully put giant movie franchises together, combine the characters, and put them on the same team and the other opposite teams, and I think that this transition into the, let's call it, television style episodic story it has been super interesting for a couple different reasons. I think that they've proven with this and Mandalorian that they are capable of doing this sort of a thing, expanding the universe, telling the episodic stories in an engaging way. I'll be honest, with Mandalorian, I was lukewarm through about the middle of season 1. And then it kind of got me towards the end of season 1, and then season 2 is fantastic. And then with WandaVision, I think that they took such a creative, artistic approach with this whole, television series going through the eras. Clearly we'll find out more about that, I'm sure. But I think they did just enough, even in the first episode, where you watch almost the whole thing, and like you said, they're pretty short. And you get through the whole thing and it's like, what the heck am I watching? Like, it's super unique. Nothing really happened. And then they give you this one little tidbit. Early on, it was literally one little tidbit.
Right.
And then it kept getting more and more each episode, to the point now where we know where this is going. We have, my favorite part about all these TV shows, and I was a big Lost guy back in the day. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about Lost was it was on the front end of all these internet theories, and I had a blog where I would break down every episode of Lost, and I would teach myself how to read Egyptian hieroglyphics and try and find all these Easter eggs that were in these shows, and this is right up that alley. I mean, there's so many. I've never been a comic book guy, but I love the universe, so I love learning about it. And in today's day and age with social media, and you can hop on TikTok and YouTube and find all these theories, and I'm learning about the MCU, the expanded comic book side of it. But at the same time, there's 8 different theories, and we're slowly kind of honing in on maybe the one with Agnes and Agatha Harkness, and what that is looking like, and maybe what's beyond that and behind that. But I love this ability to give you just enough to start to piece it together potentially, and put your own theories together and argue online afterwards. It's super fun. I think it's a cool way that they can set up the next movies, the big next movies. They're doing it with the Mandalorian too. I think they're honestly taking a super similar approach to like bring this Star Wars Avengers group together to then ultimately go on and fight a big battle. So I think it's a cool thing that they're doing. The recipe works, and I really do think that I hope we find out about the whole TV era thing. I'm assuming we will, but it's just a unique, cool approach that adds a little bit to it as you're trying to figure out, okay, what TV show are they mimicking? What was this? How did they do this? And that's been fun to play along with too.
Zane, you haven't really been on much. Like, how has your thought process been through this series so far? Like, have you looked at this from the same lens, or were you frustrated? I mean, like AJ, you kind of brought it up, the shortness, and I made a joke about it, but that's been honestly my biggest piece of feedback I'd give this show is you could have put 10 more minutes in, even if they weren't really doing anything for the story, is kind of my perspective, and you could have just played with that era of sitcoms more and had more fun with that, is kind of how I look at it. Zane, where are you sitting with this question?
Yeah, like, it'd be nice to have more, but at the same time, kind of like what AJ hit on, I think it's a cool thing that you're getting back and I wonder part of it might be like driven on nostalgia, like AJ brought up Lost, like the fact that you're getting these little pieces and you're piecing this together and you're sitting and going, yeah, you got 8 set, all these different theories going on, that someone has this going on this website, someone made a TikTok video about this. Like, you have these smaller episodes and these smaller chunks, but part of what makes it so fun is there's so many different directions you can go, because with the MCU and you got just big movies, you're like, okay, well, you have 2 hours to establish a character, or however long your movie runtime is, and there's not much hypothesizing and everything between movies. Whereas you're getting another episode next week, and you're just like, are they going to go this direction? Are they going to go this direction? And that adds to the allure of it, the fact that you could go so many different directions of it. And at first it was kind of that, like, as you're trying a new food, your mom just like, okay, you need to try, just take a little bite. You don't know if you're going to, and it's like, okay, we'll see how this tastes. And then you take another bite, and then you take another bite. And now it's gotten to that point with WandaVision that I'm like, all right, this is fantastic. Like, give me more. I'm not taking little bites anymore. I'm taking
it in. You just
exactly, like, I'm getting big forkfuls now. And yeah, it just it adds to that, because I'm all in. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little bit longer runtime on the episodes, but I love having all these theories, all the what ifs. Like, that I think adds to the allure and magic of doing it in episodic, doing it episodically, if that's a word.
Yeah, Isaac, I mean, AJ made a great parallel here with Lost, right? So, and I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I kind of brought that up as well, and I guess my question to you is, can this show land it the way that it's supposed to? Because part of what lives in infamy, and AJ, I want to hear this later from you, is how Lost ended is a giant cluster to a lot of people. Some people hate it. Actually, a lot of people hate it, and a couple of people love it. I loved the ending of Lost, but I know a lot of people didn't. Do you think they can land this plane after watching episode 7? I mean, we haven't obviously dived into spoilers yet, but do you think they can land this plane in they just essentially revealed who the villain of the season is, and they've got about 50 more minutes of TV to show it.
I don't think we have a reason to not think they can land it at this point. I mean, they really haven't steered us wrong with any of the Disney Plus content that we've been getting. So, and this season has been fantastic, even though we have no idea, what's going on in different parts of the season. So I think absolutely that they're going to pull it all together and answer some of those loose ends. And honestly, that was the thing about Lost that I didn't like, is that they just kept asking more questions and nothing got answered, And they still are asking questions at this point in the season, but we are starting to get some answers that are even starting in like episode 3, when we start seeing outside of, the bubble that Wanda's created. We're starting to kind of get a feel for what's going on outside of there, even though there's so much going on that we can't put all the pieces together. At least we have the pieces, So I think they'll be able to put it together for sure. I don't think we have really any reason to doubt them at this point.
Mark, I know you and I are kind of like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the strings and the whiteboard. So we're gonna hold off because we only got about 15, 20 more minutes here with AJ. I want to make sure I knock out some of the things. Is there anything in particular you want to add to the conversation before I...
No, it's funny that my beautiful wife Kelly and I were out to eat, and I brought this up. We were talking about WandaVision. Could you imagine if they just gave us all the episodes at once? It would be...
Oh my gosh.
It'd be ungratifying compared to like what we have now.
I think people would have liked it, but I think you're correct. I think the style... I think the week-to-week style has favored and helped this show more than other shows. Like, I wonder if Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to benefit from that as much as this. I think WandaVision benefits more from that. AJ, what'd you think of the end of Lost? Real quick before I keep going. What'd you think of the end of Lost? I'm dying to know this.
Okay, so you brought up a good point about how people who were frustrated with Lost were frustrated mainly because there were so many unanswered questions. One in particular that will always stand out to me was the freaking Hurley-bird.
Correct.
What
yeah,
gives? What's up with the Hurley-bird, right? There's a bunch of them. Obviously, that's probably a minor one, but one of the ones that just still stands out to me. So here's how I look at that, though. I see that as a situation where you have a new product, a new story, a new show that explodes and is becoming super popular, so popular that you keep getting extended and extended and extended, and you don't know how long this is going to last, but you want to make the most of it. And this was really before you had too many shows that were stretching it too far, and this was one of those ones that was stretching it too far. So I believe that they had a beginning and an end written for that show, and it wasn't a beginning and an end that had 6 seasons worth of in between. And so for seasons 3 and 4 particularly, they just started throwing crap out, and we got to stretch, we got to keep going. They're making tons of money doing this. ABC, Disney, like, they're loving what's happening here, so we need to pad, we need to just stretch and take this longer and longer. And so by the time that they tried to land the plane, like you guys were saying, there were just certain things that they put in there as filler that didn't matter to the story. So I did not dislike the way that it ended. There was a list of things that I wish that they would have answered that we didn't get answered, but I didn't dislike how it ended. But I do think that it was a fault of its own success. With something like this, you already know with Marvel that there's success, that there's a fan base. And you guys mentioned the way that they release it, weekly rather than all in one chunk. I really do think that plays to the audience that they know that they have sitting in the palm of their hand. People like us that are going to dive into this. They're going to look in the comic book archives. They're going to hop online and try to find the Easter eggs, find the theories, figure it out prior to. You look at other things like Queen's Gambit or whatever it might be on Netflix. There's no real theorizing with a show like that, but this kind of a show is perfect for it. The audience is perfect for it. The story is perfect for it. The way that they're bridging all of these different groups of superheroes together to ultimately bring them into theaters and bring different movies. We all know that that's what's going to happen. The end game, no pun intended, or I guess pun strictly intended. But it is the ability that they just know what they're dealing with a product and with a fan base, that they're just doing this perfectly.
Time out with Lost. Freaking Walt, man. That was so flippin' stupid.
When Walt went through puberty, it was
when Walt went through puberty and they had no answer for it. So dumb. Go ahead, Isaac.
I mean, we are all doing this theorizing as comic book superhero fans, Disney fans even at this point. But if they had, like you said, Max, if they had dropped this all at one point, like, you don't get the casual fan in on it at that point.
Agreed.
Like, they drop these episodic, and for one, it's doing Disney a favor because they're getting way more subscribers than they would if they had just dropped it all, at once. But then also you're getting everybody else in on the hype that just keeps building week after week after week. And you're getting these people, well, and because just the nature of WandaVision, it's not your typical superhero show. So you get people that don't like the superhero movies that are kind of attracted to this because of the kind of the sitcom style of the show. So, I mean, if you don't do that episodic build until the end of the show, I think that would definitely hurt the show in the long run, or even just like amount of views that Disney is getting, which wouldn't matter for us because the show would be the same and we would love it, but the casual fan probably would or may or may not watch. So that's kind of what I was thinking. But I kind of like the episodic nature. It definitely gets your hype built up, and you're like, your expectation is just wild. I mean, all of these theories that we've been talking about every week that Mark is connecting all of the red yarn on, it's
like I know what's going on. It's insane.
It's so fun to do. Like, it's fun to talk about everything that's going on. But if you dropped it all at one time, you don't talk about that stuff.
There really is no show to compare this to but Lost. Like, AJ, you're nailing that comparison, dude. Like, I can't remember a show that I thought I've had things figured out so much, and I've had nothing figured out at all.
For real.
Than this show. And Lost is the only paralleled show I could think of.
AJ, I would just want to point out to you that Max has been theorizing that Mephisto is just about every character in the show.
And I'm back on the train that
so.
Mephisto's in it now. I'm back on the Mephisto train after this episode.
All right.
We'll dive into that later, but we want to maximize this time with AJ. All right, so let's ask the big questions here. Real quick, we're going to rate it. So on a scale of 1 to 6, AJ, where are you rating episode 7 of WandaVision for this episode?
Ooh, I mean, I'm in that 5 range. I think it was really, really good. We finally got the one of the big reveals I think that we had been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting thing because I'm waiting for everything to start blowing up and this big battle to eventually happen. They keep delaying it for one reason or another. But yeah, I'm a 5.5 kind of a situation. I think that again, there's still this little bit to be desired for me, and I don't know if that's an intentional thing from the way that they're presenting it, or if I'm just not fully connecting. But I'm all in. I mean, I'm all in completely, and I'm ready. Every Friday I wake up and I'm like, I gotta wait till tonight to watch this, and I can't handle that. I try because I see it trending on Twitter, and I'm trying to steer clear and not have any of the spoilers until I get to see it.
We've been dealing with spoilers this past weekend, so that's never fun.
Well, and for those that don't know, AJ is up on a Friday typically at like 4 or 5 in the morning, like is when you're in the studio or when you're recording.
And because all of us nerds watch things and stay up late, it's already trending by 1 in the morning because people already started it.
People are not holding back on spoilers for this for whatever reason. Like Endgame, there was like a literal embargo for weeks afterwards. People are posting spoilers like the second it drops. Like I wake up in the morning and I watch it pretty early, so I don't usually get spoiled, but the second you go on social media, there's spoilers everywhere. It's like, dude,
it's either Sleep or WandaVision for AJ. Those are his two choices. It's Sleep or WandaVision. All right, we'll ask the rest of the bros here because we got a couple more minutes. I want to ask you the big questions here. Who's the big bad behind Agatha Harkness right now, AJ? Is she the big bad? Is it Mephisto? Is it Dormammu? Is it Nightmare? Who do you think is the big bad of this series?
I'm on the Mephisto train. Again, I will be the first to admit that I don't come to bat with this knowledge, but I've researched it since then. So I'm not coming up with this on my own, but there's so many of these little interesting tidbits from the little spell book that we saw down in Agatha's lair. The opportunities to the symbolism with the head of the goat, and then how that relates to the devil and whatnot. Now, there's an interesting thing that somebody did explain when this is probably 2 or 3 episodes ago when we were early on in this Mephisto. Is he behind all this sort of thing? And it surrounds Disney's presence in, I believe it's China, and the way that culture will not do images of the devil or devil figures, and how they were kind of saying, I don't think they're going to go this route because it's a devil figure, and they're not going to abandon one of their biggest markets in the entire world. Now, since then, people have theorized that there is going to be references to Mephisto being behind all of these things, but we won't see him until the next Doctor Strange movie,
right?
Which makes more sense because then you can kind of keep it a little smaller. You can minimize the damage or the loss that you may get from a world market, but you can still tell this story and really stay true to what's behind the scenes. So I'm in on the Mephisto. Is the one behind everything, pulling the strings, and then there's the stuff with Agatha that we learned. We all knew there was a bunch of different things that were up with Agnes. Excuse me.
Yeah, whatever. No, we put the bumper. You're good. The bumper's
the all the things that we see her in that little Munsters kind of montage at the end of episode 7, the things that she did, those were the things that we were kind of sticking out to us. The dude standing at the shrubs kind of zoning out, like, what's that all about? And how, there's just these little things that in hindsight we thought, hey, they were weird, but now you look back at it. And I still think that there's some more weird things. So it tells me that somebody else is pulling the strings. It's not Agatha, it's not Agnes, but there's something else behind that.
All right, couple questions I'm going to ask the bros later, so bros don't answer. Just you can sit there and give reactions, not do whatever you want to do. All right, here we go. Is Evan Peters really Pietro from the Fox universe?
No. No, I'm again, this is not my take, but this is a manifestation, the characters, the actors, the way that they're going to pull this together. There's a bunch of different ways that we're still hypothesizing and how they're going to do this. And if I swear to you, if I'm blanking on his name, Jim from The Office, John Krasinski. Yeah. If he is not Reed Richards, the world is going to explode.
It will.
Everyone is just assuming that it's going to be him.
The public will collectively reject Reed Richards if it's not John Krasinski.
We gotta will it into the universe.
Right. Now, they gave a little nod in this episode with the Office themed open.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
But that was it. I mean, the rest of it went kind of Modern Family style and Arrested Development. But they did get that little nod that it's going to keep people on at least one more week, that this is it. But honestly,
You're right.
you know, he's made that transition. He
Jason
went to
Morgan.
Jack Ryan. He grew the man muscles, got out of his office suit, and he could do it. But man,
The
if
long con.
if he's not, I mean, people are going to lose their minds, and they're going to hate
For sure.
whatever actor is. They're going to hate him.
Probably.
Gosh, could you
Probably.
imagine that they have to recast that character because everyone's like, no, it has to be John Krasinski.
I've kind of said this too. I think the guy who plays Chidi from The Good Place would be great for that role too. I think he'd be great. But you're right. The internet wants it. Is the fly that was on the wall Mephisto? Was that the symbolism to kind of avoid what you're talking about with the Chinese culture? Symbolism that, hey, this is a Mephisto-led attack on Wanda.
Yeah, so that another one of the little tidbits that kind of leads you to believe Mephisto being behind this. Yeah, I mean, again, that when you look at an episode and you call them Easter eggs, you call them hints, whatever you want to say, when there's 4 or 5 that point one direction, I'm starting to think that that's the direction unless they're completely throwing us off the scent. And there's that fine balance with shows like this, with writers like this, where you want to, at the end of the day, hoodwink everybody and surprise. You want that jaw drop moment, like, oh my gosh, I didn't see this coming. But at the same time, you want people to be able to start to maybe not figure it out, but again, theorize and lean in
Right.
direction. So I think that there's enough in these episodes, The Fly included, that again, I'm on that Mephisto train, and that might be a way around it. You know, have the presence of Mephisto, the likeness, his presence in this show without having the actual visualization of a devilish character.
All right, 2 more questions, then we'll close it out here. All right, here we go. Will we see mutants by the end of this series?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, the little hint with what's her name? She has Rambo. Yeah, Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Rambo. She is this hint that her blood work is changing. Obviously, I think they're saying Photon. Is that the one
Yeah.
that they're kind of saying we saw her turn into this last episode? It's she's not a unique. I don't think that's unique to her in this sense. And we saw, another dozen or 2 dozen people get swallowed up by the Hex last week when it expanded. So you're putting a lot of different people in a situation where their code can be rewritten, their blood work can change, and that X gene can be introduced. I think it's an easy way to do it. And when you look at the correlations between all the good guys and the bad guys that we're kind of theorizing here, it makes sense. Now, I guess I'm talking myself out of this a little bit. This is a timeline question, I guess. Will we see it in this season? That I'm not so sure about. I think we have to have a little glimmer of something. I don't know that we're going to see a full-fledged, X-Men reveal, but I think they're going to give us something to carry into season 2 or the next movie, whatever that timeline links up with. I think we'll see something. So I kind of talked myself in and out of the answer to that question in the mid.
You're like all in on Mephisto, man. Like some people, like they tread, like they go back and forth, but you're like, no, I'm all in. All right, I think I know your answer, but I'm just gonna ask.
Yeah, we don't know anybody who does that. Right?
Yeah, shut up, Isaac. If you're not trying, then what's the point? AJ, who is Ralph?
Right. So I think Ralph is Mephisto. So when he went down into the lair this last week, I turned to my wife, who was not paying attention and didn't know what I was talking about. Did not remember who Ralph was when I said, we're going to see Ralph. Like Ralph's going to be down in the lair.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think that.
And I thought for sure, like, this is, we haven't seen him. We've only heard the reference to it. We're finally going to meet him. And it would make sense to me then that Ralph is the one who's pulling the strings behind Agatha. Again, I think it's Mephisto. So I do think that Ralph is Mephisto. And Ralph is the one who is in charge. And again, this is the opportunity that it, pulling the strings and all the weird different things that we've heard along the way, the use of pronouns When they say her and she, are they referring, there's assumption that they're referring to Wanda. Now we're learning that a lot of that is probably Agatha. And does I forget what his name is, the main FBI guy or the main guy
Hayward,
outside,
yeah.
Hayward, does he know? Like, what does he know about this? Or was he simply trying to get Vision to be his weapon? All these theories that again are some being laid out there plainly in the show and some that aren't. So yeah, I think Ralph is Mephisto, and again, because of the whole China thing, I don't know if we'll get to see Ralph, but Ralph will be very present in the final couple episodes.
Well, AJ, thanks for coming on, man. Dude, this is great. This is fun to hear from somebody outside of our little think tank we have here on the show. Because I think we talk ourselves into some certain things, or we talk ourselves out of it. AJ, real quick, where can people check you out if they've enjoyed you today?
Right on. My main home is on Twitter, at AJKFAN. That's where I will handle a lot of my business, a lot of my conversations on anything and everything. But yeah, that's where I hang out. And again, guys, I mentioned this at the beginning here. I might appreciate this more than any of you because I don't get to do this. I don't get a regular opportunity to have these conversations. I hold them in. I learn all these things. I don't know what's dumb. I'm not even throwing stuff against the wall because nobody in my house cares. So this has been a treat for me too, to have just a half an hour here to chat with you guys, to hear your opinions and not feel like the nerd in the room, because we're all nerds. We're all in the room and we're all loving it. So I appreciate it.
Now you're a part of the Infinity Bros universe, and you are welcome back anytime for a water cooler discussion. So come on back.
I'll plug it for AJ as well. Check out our show notes. I'll have some links there to check out AJ. You can check him out there. Check out the Here and Now podcast. Really great podcast with the things going on in the world today. I can't recommend a podcast enough like this one. Here on Earth as well. He's got a lot of great episodes on there. If you're a Christian, obviously, for those who have listened to us a long time, we have a Christian perspective here. Interviews some great athletes and personalities that just talk about their life. So if that interests you, check that out as well. As my alarm's going off. Come on there, Elite.
Jeez.
And most importantly, you have to check out the Initials game on KFAN Friday mornings, 8:15 Central. If you haven't checked this out, this man is a legend. He can somehow figure out names of initials, places. Now, I don't know how you do it, AJ. I tip my hat to you, man. You somehow go in every week. It doesn't matter who lines up against you, and you figure it out, dude.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I always play along when I'm listening, and I miserably fail every time. And I'm definitely impressed by the answers that you guys are able to come up with on that show. So,
well, here's the weird thing about that game. Again, I would even credit some of my success in this game to my interest in things like this, because I do stupid deep dives and learn stupid facts. But there are just some weeks where it just doesn't happen. And you might say, Max, that there's the opportunity where I'm just firing and always getting these things. And then the very next week I'll show up and I will get zero, like completely shut out. It just isn't clicking. I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't wake up enough, whatever it is. The initials are just weird. And it throws you off. So it is a really fun game. Obviously, there's 346 podcast episodes of the Initials game that you can check out wherever you get your favorite podcasts. But it's just a fun thing. If you're going on a road trip, by all means, pull that thing up and just let them rip and have some fun. So
I can't recommend that enough. Like, seriously, you don't have to be from Minnesota to enjoy that. It's a great thing that they do on that show. Power Trip Morning Show is also fantastic too. So, well, AJ, we appreciate your time, man. We thank you so much, and thanks for joining us for some nerd talk. Okay, man.
Right on, guys. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
I'm not gonna do the backflip. I'll give you the.
Zayne will do that when you get off. That's what'll happen. All right, we'll get that done there. Awesome. Thanks, AJ. We'll talk to you later, man.
Hey, dudes, I really appreciate it. This is fun. Again, hit me up sometime. Let's do this again.
Will do. Thanks, man. See ya. Let's dive into what the Infinity Bros think about WandaVision. I've thought about this, Mark. Do you think I need to start creating bumpers? Like, I should have, looking back on this, I should have made a bumper for WandaVision, I think. And I think I need to make a Falcon and Winter Soldier bumper.
Yeah, because especially if you're going to be talking about
WandaVision.
Yeah, but that's like a trademark thing, right? Like, Disney owns that.
I was looking into that, and I think if it's just a sound clip that's like under 10 seconds, you can use it. Is what I kind of was gathering.
Well, yeah, because that's what they do on the radio all the time, don't they? As long as it's under a certain amount of time.
I guess they don't care if our podcast is marketing for them. Mark, can we just get you saying WandaVision eating what you're eating, like with a full mouth? Like, I think that should be our bumper, to be honest.
WandaVision.
There we go. That's the bumper.
Maybe like we could layer it. We could have Mark say it like 6 times and then put it all together in a sound.
What we need to do is call that guy that we called at the beginning. So if for some reason you linger your way to the end of our podcast and hear our outro, that guy, I said, hey, I need high energy. I need these pieces of information to be communicated. And that joker went above and beyond the Call of Duty for $5. I mean, that was the best $5 I've ever spent.
Welcome
that guy
to
put
the
so
Infinity
much
Bro
effort into it.
podcast.
That guy's cared more about our podcast than the rest of it. No, real talk.
Pay me $5 and you'll see what you get.
I want to. I might.
Yeah, you might.
I might.
You might be scared. You're gonna
Dude,
be frightened to what you get.
this is like a little bit of a celebrity moment for us guys. Okay, so we listen to KFAN. Mark doesn't, but Isaac, Zane, and I listen
too
to
cool
KFAN.
for it.
We're pretty big KFAN nerds. We really, really like AJ. We kind of view him as one of us a little bit.
Oh, sure.
So to get him on, Zane was a little starstruck. He arrived early today for our pre-show meeting.
It was shocking. Yeah,
It was shocking. He was here right at 8. If we say 8, we always plan for Zane time. It's usually 8:10 is when he shows up. So like I gotta tell you, I thought you handled your stuff well, Zane. Do you need to go to the bathroom or did you already go in your pants?
I went before I got on. Like I made sure I was ready to go.
Not in your pants though, correct?
Yep, I was ready. I brushed my teeth.
He shaved.
Shaved,
I brushed my teeth.
cologne on.
I will say I am impressed with AJ's he was super humble on the subject, but the dude knew a ton.
Oh yeah.
I don't really know much, but I watched about like 4 hours of TikTok videos on this stuff. So like I actually do know because I'm like hearing him like, hey, stop ripping the stuff I want to talk about.
I know. I'm sitting there like, Mark, I have to give you credit too, because we talked about, we're like, all right, he's only got a couple minutes, so we're going to really try to let him just take that conversation, then we'll talk about it. And Mark's just like, I could just tell Mark's sitting there, he's like rocking. And I'm just like, Mark might digitally punch AJ Mansour in the face, and I'm here for it. Let's dive into WandaVision here. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, spoilers, all that jazz, but we're going to talk about it from the rest of the bros' perspective. AJ touched on a lot of stuff, so I want to kind of touch on what he didn't talk about. But first, let's start with our ratings. Mark, I'm going to start with you because I didn't even give you a chance to talk about anything on it. Can you give me your rating of this show? And then also, to precursor, just for our new listeners, maybe some people from Minnesota heard that AJ was on and wants to check us out. What's your rating of this season so far?
Do you think anything changed from last week? It's 6.
6 out of 6. Okay. What's your rating of this episode? Okay. What's your rating of this episode?
6 out of 6.
6 out of 6. He's not wrong. The TikTok is where to get your theories.
Kelly, my beautiful wife Kelly, like sends me like multiple WandaVision TikTok theories. So like I get a lot from there and a lot from like the deep dive I see and like, you know, go down the rabbit holes. So I'm consumed by it. It is nuts. I started smoking. I'm drinking a lot more.
I've got like 10 memes I've got to drop in our group chat still because I was waiting for Robbie. Because I was like, "Do you guys watch it yet?" Robbie last night. No. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Robbie. I didn't know you're so busy to not watch 20 minutes of WandaVision. Sorry."
Putting together your new gaming chair.
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm looking into a $200 gaming chair, but I haven't watched WandaVision yet. Zane, we're all over the rails. Sorry. This is like normal podcasts would take a break and like decompress with that moment, but we didn't. We're just talking to you about it. Scott Higa is like clicking the 30-second jump ahead button religiously. Zane, what was your rating of this season so far, and what's your rating of this episode?
The seasons are like, I mean, it's still 6 out of 6. Like I can't change anything of that. Just like I've said to just being able to sit and theorize and look and like, oh, is it going to be this? Who's Mephisto? And all the different, like, it's just so exciting. And it just makes it so much worth it that every time, you know, every week you get to sit and think about this stuff. And it's been a while, I think, well, since The Boys, I think. But yeah, like I stay up till 2 a.m. for when it drops in the morning. And I'm like, I got to watch this now.
I know you're one of the loyal people because you're on Central Time. So you're up at 2. Mark, what time do you watch it usually on Friday?
Well, this last Friday, because our freaking SAR, Kevin Feige, said it was going to be hour-long episode, so I get the wife up at 5:30 so we can watch this, because our lunches didn't align, and it's 30 freaking minutes, and I'm like...
Oh, yeah. That was such bogus. That was so bogus.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, what a clown.
So usually I watch it at 11 a.m. when our lunches align on Fridays, but this past Friday, got up at 5:30, woke her up, and we were off.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, for me, Isaac, we'll get to your rating in a sec. We had our second kid this last month, and so our sleep schedule is sporadic. I've been on paternity leave.
Golden Frieza.
Yeah, you can call her Golden Frieza. And Golden Frieza is up at weird hours. So I tell Sarah Thursday nights, I go, hey, if you're up at a weird hour, I will own it if it's after 2 o'clock. You just got to let me know. If it's after 2 o'clock, save the bottle for then, because I'll do it. So I was up at 5 watching it. Tim, my son, decided to wake up at 5:30 that day. So guess what I'm doing at 5:30, watching WandaVision with my son, because I looked at him and said, you can come out, but you got to watch it. So then when the scary part comes on, he goes, oh, it was great. It was awesome. Fantastic stuff. Isaac, what's your rating of this?
All right. So overall, 6 out of 6. Amazing show. I'm really excited for the payoff because honestly, we've all kind of been expecting this big reveal of this aerospace engineer that Monica Rambeau has been talking about. And everybody thought it was happening this episode. So this episode, I'm giving a 5.5 just because it seemed like a lot happened, but not a lot actually happened. Honestly, that's kind of been the case with the last couple episodes. Not a lot happens the whole episode, and then the last 20 seconds or minute or something is big reveal, crazy stuff happening. But still fantastic episode. That Agatha Harkness theme song was the best thing I've heard probably the whole season. That was amazing.
That's been in my head for 2 days straight.
Seriously, I've been singing it in my head. It is amazing. Catherine Hahn is incredible. She's perfect for this role. I'm all in on. I really hope she is included in future Marvel projects down the road. Fantastic Four, then they get wrapped into the MCU. Hopefully she's there in on all that stuff too. But yes, great episode. Not the best episode I've watched so far, but it was still amazing. Season has been incredible. Can't wait for the payoff. This aerospace engineer, I was going to ask AJ that, but we got just wrapped up in talking. I was going to ask him who he thinks the aerospace engineer is.
They revealed
it. Who
they said it was Major Goodner.
No, that's not it.
That is it.
No, it's not.
But that's who she was meeting up with.
That's who she was meeting up with, is Major Goodner.
No, that's not the engineer though. That's just the team that was there setting everything up.
Because earlier when she contacts the aerospace engineer, she specifically says he.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Yeah, okay, but that's just she said my guy. That doesn't mean that it's actually a guy.
That was the forward team that built the thing and brought it.
So you're saying So basically what you and Zane and Isaac, you're saying here is this is going to be a reveal in a post-credit scene or end of the season contact, rendezvous, etc., etc.
I think it's got a big part to play because why else would they be building it up? Honestly.
It better.
Right.
It better because there's an article from Tiana Paris saying, I can't wait to reveal who that is. And so
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and Paul Bettany, too, mentioned a couple weeks ago that there's a huge Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker level reveal that has not come out yet. So, I mean, we're still waiting.
It's going to be Michael Fassbender as Magneto. That's who the thing is.
No way. That's not what it's going to be. That's not what it's going to be.
Please, that would be amazing.
The other thing I've heard that kind of supports that they're still holding the aerospace engineer off is the fact that that little rover that she went to go through the hex in, that didn't work. Because if that went through,
Right.
you no longer have to go a callback. But now that got half through, it's half turned, it got spit back out. Well, now you need to call the engineer to come look at it. Because he built it.
That's very fair, Zane. I think just for me...
They built it.
They built it, yeah. Let's call it they, Zane. This is 2021.
Sorry, Daddy.
This is so... Okay, so like with the aerospace engineer, it is going to be such a kick in the nuts if it's nothing. Like, at this point, like, I don't even know if I should believe any of the things that Marvel is saying.
And
like,
who knows what's a red herring?
Yeah,
in this
Kevin
whole
Feige
series.
totally lied to us about the 1 hour shows. He totally lied. And that's ridiculous.
Daddy Feige lied to us.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, the length of this show. Okay, my rating is a 5.5. Same exact things as you, Isaac. I'm going to add this again, though. These episodes are too dang short. Like, right now, this season is looking to be a 5.9 for me, simply because of length. You cannot tell me you couldn't add 1 to 2 more scenes in each of these episodes. I'm sorry. You could have.
No, you can't.
You're full of crap. You could have had dialogue with Darcy.
I'm sorry. When you create a majestic puzzle, do you wish some of the pieces were bigger than the other ones, or do you want them all the same size so it's more gratifying when you put all the freaking puzzle pieces together and then you don't go crazy about it?
I'd like 1,000 pieces versus 200 pieces. Thank you very much, Mark. That's the difference here. That we can spend more time with specific characters by doing these things, and it's a huge. It to me is an egregious error given the style of this show. And I'm not going to back off on that. I'm not going to back off on that thought because, and I'm not saying the show is bad because everything you guys have said up to this point is fair. It's all correct. I'm just saying you couldn't give me 5 more minutes in this show. Why are you going to lie to us that it's an hour long? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Like, to be honest, I wonder if Kevin Feige was like, yeah, you guys have an hour left of TV last week. I wonder if that's what he meant. Because it's like 20 minutes each episode.
Then episode 8 or 9 is going to be pretty short.
He probably is.
Hang on, talk about the hex being happening in real life. So in this last episode, you see, like, when we're in the house, there's like this picture frame collage that's in the background. And no joke, Kelly and I have that in our house. And I looked at Kelly, it's like, we're in the hex. So it's real life.
Let's go ahead and dive into another episode of Max Thinks Mephisto's in this show. I'm back on the Mephisto train. Last week I was Nightmare. The previous week I was Mephisto. I will say this. It's either Mephisto or Dormammu at this point. There's a very real argument to be made that this is Dormammu. Because Dormammu in Doctor Strange 1, how he uses his powers, he utilizes the color purple, which is the same color that Agatha Harkness is using here.
Wild.
By the way, the Agatha Harkness reveal, the memes about the Agatha Harkness reveal are spot on, where it's like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's her. But it's like, no, we all knew it was her. That was the easiest one.
Everybody knew it was her.
But we were still
That was-
shocked.
yeah.
It was still fun, right? Like, that's how...
Oh, it was a great reveal. The reveal was amazing, but yeah, it wasn't shocking.
But that's how little we know in this show. Like, even though we all thought we knew that, there was part of us that was like, that might not be it. AJ made a great point earlier. There's way too many things now happening in writing for this not to be at least somewhat referenced. And maybe Mephisto is what they call Dormammu. Maybe that's the way they go about it. But calling them demon spawn, the fly, the satanic symbols, the goat symbols. There's just all these symbols from Mephisto. Like, I'm having such a hard time wrapping my head around how he's not a part of this right now.
I would like to point out, though, that it's not actually a fly, it's a cicada.
Thank you, Zane. Hard-hitting facts.
I would just like you to be correct.
So
it's not
sorry.
a fly, it's a
My
cicada.
apologies. No, Zane, thank you for correcting me on the fact that it's a cicada. Did you like, Mark, that I said that you were the biggest Vikings fan out of all of us to AJ?
Did you like how AJ brought up a Case Keenum to describe
I
his-
hated that. I absolutely despised that. I was like, I when he said that, I could just feel the collective group go,
I gave you no reaction, and then I heard him say that. I was like, justified. Karma, Max.
Max is just like, AJ, we're losing a connection here.
AJ Mansour is never coming back on the show. F AJ. Gosh, Kirk Cousins all day, baby. All right, let's talk about some of these characters. Okay, Mark, let's get this out of the way. Let's talk about the Nexus commercial, Mark. You have been touting multiverse for months, since before this show came out. And the Nexus commercial essentially talks about how a Nexus can anchor you back to reality of your choice. This is like confirmation of multiverse on an unbelievable level. I like this
Wild stuff.
This commercial is the craziest commercial we've gotten. Every week I think I'm like, oh, that's the craziest commercial we've gotten. Nope, this one's the craziest one we've gotten so far.
Wouldn't it be nuts? The final episode of WandaVision, it reveals that Mark is the one pulling the strings. and I wrote this. Yeah, I wrote this whole season of WandaVision.
Wow, he's the idea man behind Warner Bros. And he also is Mephisto.
Whoa, I'm not behind Warner Brothers yet. Wink.
Yet. Oh yeah, it's future.
Well, I just like you bring in Nexus, and obviously you can bring that reference to Nexus of all realities. So then are we going to get Man-Thing now? Because he's the guardian of the Nexus of all realities.
I think anything's on the table right now, Zane.
Or WWE Nexus? Who knows?
Ooh.
Shut up, Mark. Just shut up, Mark. Honest.
But okay,
to
with
goodness,
Nexus,
up.
is that going to tie in Eternals in any way? That was my thought when I saw that. Like my initial thought.
I think that's possible. I think really where this is going is multiverse. And obviously Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange.
Now to dig this hole deeper, are we saying Eternals don't exist in the MCU as we know it? And this is going to bring them in as well?
That's a great point.
Like, is our reality of the MCU going to be swerved?
Well, and this is kind of what you and I talked offline, Mark, about. I said Dormammu being the bad guy makes a ton of sense. You can still have Mephisto work for him because he's just that big and powerful. He also made a deal with Doctor Strange in the first movie that said, hey, you can't attack this planet. However...
Was it planet or reality?
That's the question. And that I think would be a great like swerve and a way to get back at Doctor Strange. And the purple lighting really leads me on to believe that it could be him. I just think it's Mephisto's. I think Mephisto is part of this in some way simply because of all the imagery they've shown. I just feel like they've gone out of their way to show this imagery to me. And a couple times, sure, but like every episode there's something. And at this point, I don't even care if it's not Mephisto. I'm not one of those people where it's like, if my, like, I mean, last week I talked about it, I was like, oh, I guess my theory is wrong. Here's where we're going now, and I still like it. I'm not one of those, because there are people I think right now that are like, if Mephisto's not the bad guy, they're going to be pissed. And that's not me at all, because I'm with you, Isaac. I think this show will land the plane. I think it will.
I think that's like toxic fandoms in general now. Like, that's why Star Wars is so toxic, like the fandom, because they have this headcanon, they have this expectation of what should happen in the movies and shouldn't happen and stuff. And when they do something different, everybody freaks out, and it's like, oh, okay, they can't even tell their own story. I don't think we, as the Infinity Bros, I don't think any of us really are in that boat. So, but
if
yeah,
John Krasinski isn't Reed Richards, I think we're all on that boat.
Fair.
Maybe,
Good point.
I think that's the only thing that I think all of Marvel will stand up together and be like, it has to be him.
Dude,
Disney.
I really think, Mark, they're going to cast minorities in those roles. I really do.
If you're gonna give me a Modern Family episode, but then give me an Office-esque theme song to this, and you don't bring me an Office character, your head's gonna roll, Kevin Feige, because you made me get up at 5:30 and wake my wife up
for an hour, right?
I will find you.
That's baloney. The hour thing was total baloney, Mark, and I actually think that's ridiculous that he said that for literally the circumstance you're talking about, because what everybody's saying is true. Like you cannot be on the internet. So here's another thing. We're not going to name names, but certain people were posting spoilers this weekend, and it's getting spoiled, and it's hard. And I'm not necessarily dogging those people. I think they're just trying to have a conversation with people on the internet. But unless you watch this like at 2:30 in the morning, like Zane Ellis, there's a real chance when you wake up, you're going to see something if you go to like a Reddit site that you don't fully understand, or Twitter with certain people that are either toxic or just aren't fully thinking through that in the morning.
Oh yeah. I mean, I follow a lot of like Marvel insiders, and those guys are posting straight up spoilers at 8 a.m. on Friday. Guys, come on. Can't you just wait like a day or something?
Saturday, I get it. Friday makes no sense.
You just don't go online for the 2 days. Like, I get that
that's
defense,
what you have to do now.
But with the scenario Max brought up, what was funny in my aspect, we had one Infinity Bro bring it up because it got a little spoiled from him. But two people I know specifically came to me because they're like, hey, I follow you on, or Infinity Bros on Facebook or Twitter, and this got ruined because you guys follow this other podcast. And I'm like, that's not my fault. So I thought it was funny.
And by the way, and I'll say this too, I'll defend that podcast. I think
same. I thought it was
it's fine. I think that podcast is doing what they're trying to do, and they're trying to grow an audience. And I think that's a strategy you have to take. I agree with you, Mark. I think it's on you as a consumer. You need to stay offline.
People overseas that could be
Stay offline. If that's that big of a deal to you,
If you're that concerned about it,
stay offline.
Exactly.
If not, that ain't that person's fault.
I got bit once with the first sequel trilogy for Star Wars, the first episode with Han Solo being killed on Twitter. Never again. I learned my lesson. Do not go there. Do not go to social media until you've seen it, because some a-hole. This person was intentionally spoiling it. For Star Wars.
I got spoiled. Evan Peters was in this on Reddit, on just a basic Reddit
I'm sorry
site.
I'm sorry I told you 3 weeks before you saw that on Reddit.
Mark, don't yell at me. I'm telling my story. It's my truth.
Mark.
Let's talk about some specific characters this episode. We bounced around a ton. We're super loose here, guys. This is how it is. We talked about the Modern Family style. We talked about Major Goodner and the aerospace engineer. Zane and Mark, I'll tell you this right now. I actually think that I do not think we will get an aerospace engineer. I think it's nothing, but I would be delighted to be wrong about that.
But we still have an inside person, right? Like, that is still on the table.
For sure. Jimmy Woo's guy's in there.
Because I think it's Mailman, because you've seen him in...
it's gotta be. I was going to bring that up, because every episode, it focuses on him at some point in the episode, and this one was the same. Like, he was driving the packages by, just randomly was, like, involved somehow in this conversation that was going on, and it was like, okay, all right, something is going on with this guy.
Did anyone look more to, because this was more the first reveal on it, like the logo and the stuff he was wearing? I didn't deep dive into that, but I feel like that was a sign of something.
There has been,
like,
there have
he had
been
a very
some
with
rumors.
a circle around it, because that would be
he had
insane.
like a very specific logo. No, it was like that, the yellow, almost like a lightning bolt logo. Like, just the way it was, because the way it was shot, it looked like he was drawing attention
There
to
have
it.
been rumors,
like,
Zane, that it connects to Mephisto. It's another Mephisto connection. I forget the word it is. It's like a Mephisto, and then it's like a longer word. But it feels too loose for me to be like, oh, this is what Kevin Feige and his writers are staking on.
Right.
But Zane, with this show, anything. Literally anything could be right.
Right, literally anything, yeah.
And then also in this episode, didn't we get Dottie again? Like, we hadn't seen her
Dottie.
since...
Yeah.
But
since
wasn't that just
episode 2.
Wasn't that just a flashback?
No, it was her.
Though,
She was
or
doing her
Dottie-
flowers.
That's the other big one. Like, I think she has more to play. There's a reason why she hasn't been in it since episode 3. And because, like, I remember, too, in that episode, when she gets cut, her blood actually shows up as red. Well, the only other things that show up as color are from things that aren't in the hex.
Darcy turns into an escape artist, Carney. I thought it was great. Good payoff. I thought that was awesome. I like how she explained Infinity War to him, too. No, I like how she explained Ultron and Vibranium. I thought it was really good. I thought all of it made sense, and I think for people that aren't fully familiar with everything in the MCU, this was a great catch up for them on Vision. Like, quick bullet points. You can still watch this show and understand stuff, and you can be just as lost as him and still appreciate the mystery. There is something to be said about why he can't remember who he is, and I'm holding strong to that. He is still got Simon Williams trapped in him somewhere. I'm holding to that. It just makes complete sense. I think they're doing a reverse Wonder Man on this. And I think with magic, you need some conduit to be a part of it. I really hold to that. I also loved how he broke the fourth wall, and then at the end, he's like, why am I being interviewed? I gotta go. I loved that.
That was awesome.
Loved that, Mark. That
was amazing.
Then who's interviewing him?
Yeah. I don't know.
Was it... Does she have control for Vision?
I think she has manipulation over everybody. Agnes is who we're talking about, right? I mean, like...
Then how powerful is she if we're supposed to believe that, Wanda is the most powerful?
I mean, we'll talk about it here, but, like, it seems like everybody can be taken under
I think we're
by
talking
her.
about it right now.
Well,
bro.
no, let's jump to some other characters. 'Cause I really think Agnes is, like, the end of this episode. Like, end of our time talking about this. That's a big hurdle to get over. Let's talk about Photon. I really, 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 really liked how she got introduced as a character and got her powers. I thought this was the right way to do it. This is good storytelling. Mark, you can eat it. Captain Marvel is important. We're getting great Captain Marvel callbacks here in this scene. You have to care about Captain Marvel now. You can eat it. You can eat it. All you can eat it. Captain Marvel matters.
Cutscenes? Yeah, whatever.
That's awesome.
I
loved
watched it. We're in a rewatch, or Kelly's in a rewatch, so I watch periodically the movies, and she started Captain Marvel today, and I'm watching with her, and I'm thinking, like, just another filler. So, your context that you got is just filling up space that could have been replaced.
Did you like the Birds of Prey movie?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, what's your favorite moment of Birds of Prey? Oh, you loved it, did you? Oh, you really liked it, yeah.
Oh, the end when he gets the grenade.
Okay. Yeah, it took you a long time there. I'm making a point. You guys have compared those two movies for a long time in Captain Marvel Wales.
Here's Max making a point like he did to me the other week. Hey, I'm going to bring up a movie to you, and I want you to name me its favorite scene. If you don't know it right off the top of your head, then go F yourself.
I don't want you to go F yourself. I want you just to politely jump off a bridge, head first.
I can't name any scene from Captain Marvel.
Yes, you can. You can name the cat scratching Nick Fury's eye.
I totally forgot about that.
Just like I said.
Well, then you didn't understand watching this episode with Photon because all of it got brought back up. It got important dialogue got brought back up from Captain Marvel. I'm here to defend it.
Thing about Captain Marvel. Nope, you're done. Your words are done. The one positive I have that I did like in my fourth time watching it, not on purpose, is when one of the Kree, or no, not Kree, Skrulls like growl at her. She growls back, and it's like that's a pretty neat thing. I wonder if that was spontaneous or written in, because you don't usually see humans, scream or growl at someone in a fight.
Well, you wouldn't understand. It's Carol Danvers.
You're right. So it probably wasn't Brie Larson improving, because
Oh, now you're attacking Brie Larson.
I'm not.
It sounds like you're attacking Brie Larson. I'm not attacking.
If it felt like an attack, then maybe you took it personal, and maybe it's a legit thing. Because I know how you get mad when facts are brought up.
I'm here to defend Captain Marvel. Two completely different things.
Who
Let's stay
Captain
on topic
Marvel?
here.
Who represents Captain Marvel right now in the physical world that we live in? No.
Oh, you're talking about the actress.
Who is
the
it?
actress?
Well, does she?
Or are you talking about
portray
Kevin Feige
Captain
or the
Marvel?
actress? Which one are you choosing? Brie Larson?
Who portrays? Who portrays?
Brie Larson,
is
yeah.
Kevin Feige out in the Marvel outfit? Did I miss
Captain Marvel.
something?
Mephisto is Captain Marvel.
Photon, I really like the origin. I liked the voices in it. I like that I really like that they're doing these callbacks to that movie. I think it's really good storytelling. And if you haven't watched Captain Marvel, it gets you wanted to watch it. But it also, I think it just really sets this character up well. There's a great theory I heard on the Pop Culture Leftovers podcast that I want to share. A listener of that show emailed them saying they think that the reason that Monica Rambeau's mother died was because she got cancer from Carol Danvers and her energy. And that is the reason she cut her hair in Endgame, to be in solidarity with her mother. And I was like, that really lines up well, and that's a great theory, and I am all in on that theory. And so the thought process is Captain Rambeau right now doesn't know that Captain Marvel would come back to check on her, and she doesn't know that she's back. Or she just forgot. I don't know. They'll have to figure that out in storytelling. But honestly, that theory really lines up well. I like that one a lot. And I heard that.
I also really like the subtle nod of the under the spacesuit that aligned with her the costume of what she was wearing. That was really cool. And they've done a very good job in this whole series of getting people's that nod to their comic costume.
Yeah.
And they've done very good at that this whole series.
I think I'm surprised, honestly, that we're getting a full-on origin story from Monica Rambeau. Like, at the beginning of all of this, she seemed like she was more going to be just like a cameo or something like that. Like, maybe not a cameo, like she would be a character. But, I mean, I did not expect this full-on origin story. And, like, honestly, a huge focus of this show has been her origin. Way.
She's definitely number 3 in this show right now.
Well, yeah, but I did not expect her to play as big of a part as she has, and I'm all for it. Like, I think she is awesome. She does a great job in the role, and I'm excited to see, because, I mean, before WandaVision, I don't think I heard anybody projecting that Photon or what's her like current name in the comics? I forget her current name. Jarrett was
Zane, figure that out. Google it, Zane.
But nobody, or Spectrum.
Spectrum.
Nobody was saying that she was going to be in the MCU. You know, like it's cool that they're bringing in these new characters for the future. Of
and
the
who
MCU.
doesn't want her after watching this
I'm
show
really,
in the Avengers? Like, who doesn't?
Yeah,
who says no to that?
fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
She's
She's
going
amazing.
toe to toe with Wanda right now. Who doesn't want her?
Yeah, for real.
We talked about Vision and Darcy. Let's talk about Wanda here. I am like so flippin' confused now on what to believe in anything because of this specific episode. Because last week in episode 3, you and I were led to believe, along with Isaac, I believe we reviewed episode 3 with us, Isaac. We were led to believe that Wanda was in complete control of this. And then we get the shark commercial with the Yo Magic. And then we get this episode, and we can start talking about Agnes now, but like Wanda like just is going straight off the rails, head first into a concrete floor, and she's giving up her kids. She's fighting Photon, even though Photon is making complete logical sense and having like a reasonable conversation with her. But she's like slowly getting suspicious of the world. Like, and everything's freaking out around her. Everything is changing, like in those commercials we've seen. And it appears like Wanda has zero control now of this reality.
Well, and she even says too, she's like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
What if?
What's going on?
What if?
Yeah.
That spell book that was glowing a yellow orange or whatever, is some type of like wishing thing, and like maybe she wished for like, you know, a real happy life with Vision.
I think it's like a monkey's paw,
just,
Mark? Is that what you're thinking? That
well, what I was gonna go with is probably, you know, the Wonder Woman thing, whatever the wishing stone that was. It just made me think like that, where it's like it's
like a better Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And like the side effect is that like you lose control, like, or something is siphoning energy from her. So it's like you got to distract her with one thing to, you know, feed off her magic to, you know, maybe do something more evil. So, and then like this episode, it's like she's just stopped caring. So like, is she not caring and then she loses her grip on controlling the stuff that she thinks she controls or is actually controlling? I don't know, man. It's just like,
I just find it ironic that her character's been like trying to control everything, and then this episode she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna sit it out today. I'm gonna take a me day.
Come watch my kids for me."
Yeah. Oh, Agnes, come on in. Let me just open the door for you magically, even though I didn't turn around and see you.
Well, obviously she's got complete trust in Agnes this whole time, which leads you to wonder, like, how much control has she had? Has she had any throughout this whole show? She obviously was under the illusion that she had control up until now. So now you're wondering, like, okay, how much of this has been Agnes all along? And when she goes down into the basement at the end, what is changing when she's, you know, taking control of her mind or whatever? Like, you know, what is she doing at that point? But a lot of questions that we have yet to be answered in the next 2 episodes.
And they've got 2 flipping episodes to do it, and they've got to introduce Doctor Strange somehow into this.
I got to bring this up too because Kelly was bringing this up. My beautiful wife Kelly.
Good. I was thinking it was another Kelly. Thank you.
I wanted to make sure you understood, specifically you.
If I had a listener for every time I've heard you say my beautiful wife Kelly, we'd have enough listeners to be paid.
It would be amazing. Okay. What was that? Whatever episode where they flew the drone in and attacked, and then she comes out of the hex. She brought up that because of this episode, or this latest episode, tying these 2 together, we never saw her leave the hex to come out. We just saw her come out, and we saw in this episode that Agatha has the ability to just, you know, change what her appearance looks like. I'm assuming, because she came in with like a black outfit and color and just black and white thing, and, you know, flip the switch, that she believes to, you know, help push whatever strings she's trying to pull. She turned into Wanda, went out there, and then, you know, basically harassed Hawthorne.
The only reason I wouldn't buy that is because the magic was red.
Well, you didn't buy the Quicksilver, so whatever.
I didn't buy a lot of stuff. Yeah, I know. Look at me. Screw me, right? Yeah, I was wrong.
Didn't buy Dormammu.
I had a crazy opinion, and everybody else had it, but I'm the one that gets blasted because it's me.
You're the scapegoat of the Infinity Bros.
I totally am the scapegoat of the Infinity Bros, and I'm cool with it.
And yes, that was my thought too. Was like, well, it's red, but like, is she able to mask?
Well, maybe she's controlling her. Maybe to like speak to what you're saying. Maybe it's both. Maybe she is controlling Wanda to do exactly what she did.
Because like, why did she come out of the hex? I didn't even think about this. Like in her Avengers outfit.
Great point. I think it was Wanda because I think that's what Wanda goes into it. Zane, we haven't heard from you in a while. Billy can't read Agnes's thoughts. What do you think is going on with these two kids? Do you think, like, what is the end game here, pun intended again, for Agnes with this? Like, what do you want? Does she want to use them to better her agenda? Does she want to absorb magic from them? What are you seeing with this? And obviously there's House of M and Avengers Disassembled and other storylines that line up with it in the comics, but like, what are you seeing right now from your perspective of this?
Oh man, like there's just so much they can do from that. And then like with how much Agatha's been controlling, like as she just made the twins for her own purposes, like were they kind of her creations all along. And I know, like, if you go comics, that they have, the shards of Mephisto's soul and all that stuff. But, like, I don't feel like they're going to go that route. I think they got introduced because she's going to need something to try to have more control over Wanda. And I still think that you're still going to get the snap moment because something's going to happen to those two. Or, like, I think that's what's going to, in a big final battle or whatever, if you will, that it's going to be something happening to the two boys, and that's when Wanda snaps. And that's what I can see.
And that's what M Day is?
Yeah, and then it snaps, loses control, and then the hex goes and covers the world. Or covers, she no longer has control over it, and the hex just spreads everywhere. Like, it's no longer just a contained thing. That's kind of my working theory on that.
Yeah, I didn't ask AJ that because I was like, oh man, I don't think he's thought about this, but like, because that's a question Mark and I have had. Like, this hex, I've got to believe that episode 9 is the threat of this hex expanding.
Right.
Like, that to me feels like a strong end game. Wanda and Vision both pick up on it. Photon picks up on it. Sword people pick up on it. We see like Jimmy Woo become part of the stuff. Maybe that's how they get an Office cameo in with him, something like that. I don't know. But like, I'm just sensing that that's a good way to put it. It would not, with what Marvel does, wouldn't that be something if the Hex takes over America and Falcon and Winter Soldier is them in the Hex? And part of the reason all the craziness is happening is because of that. I don't think that's what it's going to be. But that is not beneath Marvel to do that. And it certainly isn't beneath Marvel to go, hey, we're going to fix it using the Loki show.
That's pretty deep in the weeds. I love it. But I'm still not going to buy it. I'm still not going to buy it. I just feel like Winter Soldier and Falcon is not going to be in the Hex.
I agree. I don't think
Zayne said the Hex covers the world, I instantly thought the two people that are not going to be affected, for some reason they're like together hanging out, is Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. And that's what Multiverse of Madness is Ant-Man and Doctor Strange teaming up to solve all of this stuff going on.
To realign the universe. Or to reality.
Needing to, jump into reality with Doctor Strange and going into the quantum realm for some reason with Ant-Man.
Right, because even the movie's going to be, the Multiverse of Madness. Well, what if the madness is ours?
I think that's how it's got to end. Like, I think the big reveal at the end is, it's not your Luke Skywalker moment, but I just think like this series has to end somehow with Doctor Strange showing up, because like I've said this before on the podcast, originally this show was supposed to be slated to happen right before the release of Doctor Strange. So like the audience was supposed to watch it. So then the sequel to the 9th episode, the 10th episode, is Doctor Strange.
The timeline was fuzzy. Like we didn't, I think you've implied it's like the next week, but I don't think it was that. I think it was like sometime in the next couple months, but like you're right.
Sure. But that's still pretty soon. That's still fresh off of the finishing of the series. So by the time you saw this movie, you probably rewatched it 2 or 3 times.
I agree. I think the two things we all knew that were going to happen, aside from like casting and like them saying this is this person, is we knew that Agatha Harkness was going to be Agnes. That just was too easy, and Marvel wasn't like denying it.
Softball. The softball.
That was the softball. But the second
reveal.
one was that Doctor Strange is going to be in this series finale. If Doctor Strange doesn't show up episode 9 and at least a post-credit scene, wow. I mean, like, but I'm with you guys.
I'll feel the same way of not getting the aerospace
Did they already
engineer.
confirm that, though? I thought they already confirmed that Benedict Cumberbatch was going to...
Well, Kevin Feige also told us the last 3 episodes are going to be an hour. So unless there's a secret 10th episode that's going to be an hour long...
They've also confirmed that's not true because the scheduling for Disney Plus has the following week being the behind the scenes. So it's not going to be a 10th episode. I would love it, Mark, if there was a 10th
What
episode.
if the behind the scenes episode is an episode of WandaVision?
I would love it. I'm palm to the sky. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it'd be great. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. The thing that I think you guys are misinterpreting here for me is, Mark, I disagree with you, but I would love it just as much as you would. I don't think logically it's going to happen.
Or that's what I meant with like with your explanation, what you think. Like I would be satisfied either way. Your theory of it, Isaac's theory of it, Zayne's theory of it. Just throw me a solid theory.
Right, yeah.
Or does it have to be solid? You could just be like pulling out of the weeds. I'm like, I'm all for that too.
I mean, it's clearly the direction I'm going.
It's more content I get to see.
Yeah, I'm with Agatha. It was Agatha all along. We talked about this song with AJ.
It was Agatha all along.
Like, this is the best part of the show. This is the best part of the episode by a mile to me. This is so good. This is so clever. It's smart.
And it fit Catherine Hahn perfectly.
She's a villain you respect because you're like, oh man, she can take over Wanda's mind. That's scary. That's a scary thought. I really, really enjoyed this, and I think, again, I knew it happened, but I still even said out loud in my house, I was like, oh wow, they did it. That's her. She's Agatha Harkness. Like, that's a big deal. That's a big comic book character to come to screen, Zayne.
Yeah, no, like it. Definitely not like a common or super well known, but when you get into the, a lot of like the magic and you're getting into multiverse stuff, like that's a good character to introduce because there's a lot you can do with that.
Mark, I think Avengers Disassembled is totally coming down the pike. I talked about this 3 weeks ago and I texted Jared about it, and I'm pretty firm in the camp that Disassembled is more on the table than people think. And I think that could be the next thing, and then House of M could be after the X-Men enter. Like, I think Disassembled is a very real possibility down the line. And then they just branch into TV shows and movies about individual heroes and say no Avengers at all. Just because this is like, it's all lining up for that. In that line, Wanda destroys the Avengers internally, kills Vision, She-Hulk kills Vision. She kills Ant-Man. She kills Yellow Jacket, and then she kills Hawkeye. So I think Disassembled is definitely coming on the table right now, and that's a pretty doggone big run that I believe Bendis wrote that. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm like, they're pulling from 100 things. They're pulling from so many different movies. Comic book, excuse me. What do we think the book is? Do we think that's the Darkhold, or Mark, are you in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. camp where it's like, it's already been done, can't do it, they're going to go a different route with it?
I went down a rabbit hole on this, and I don't think it's the Darkhold. I think it's the Necronomicon.
Go on.
Okay. So the Necronomicon in Marvel, it's like a piece of the Darkhold. So it's based on the writings of, I don't know how to pronounce it, like Ryla. It's an ancient city that was way beyond the very old beings. And this is why my sleeper hit for the big bad is Shumagorath. But that's
holy moly.
Beside
that's a
beside
sleeper.
the point.
Deep in the pool of toys to play with, Zayne reached the bottom, grabbed it, brought it out upon us, and we all bowed down.
No, well, the reason why, because, okay, so Shumagorath was one of the top of the old ones. The other person with Shumagorath is Chthon. Chthon wrote the Necronomicon. Chthon also wants to possess Scarlet Witch. He wants to use her body to remanifest himself into the world. That's kind of where that comes from. But anyways, so on my deep dive of the Necronomicon, as you're reading through, and you can look this up on the Marvel Wiki page, there's a little excerpt, if you will, that says of like people who have had the Necronomicon, and one of them is a man named Ralph Halley. And what's really interesting about this was Ralph Halley, it was a really side, I think the thing was called Adventure Detective Comics or something like that, and it was just a bunch of little one-shot comic books or little mystery stuff. And in this little mystery series. I don't even remember who wrote it. Basically, it's about an older lady who got married. She comes to a doctor and says, I think my husband's been practicing dark magic. And I think he's been turning himself into a mouse, is what is in this comic. And he's been using that to scare me. And so the doctor's like, well, that can't be a thing. And then in one of the slides of that, you see a book he has, and it's the Necronomicon of how he's practicing this dark magic. And then it's like 4 panels. It ends up dying. They find his dead body with his neck snapped. And when they move his body, they find a mousetrap under him, a sprung mousetrap. And so I saw that and I was like, well, we haven't seen Ralph, Agnes's husband the whole time. And now you have this thing.
Could he be a bunny?
Could
he be the bunny? Could he be the lobsters?
Could
all
be
the
the
animals
bunny. But see,
dog that's had its neck snapped.
Right, because Ralph, he was using the power of the Necronomicon to turn himself into things. And so I read that and I was like, it was just weird because it was like, it to me, it couldn't have been necessarily a coincidence because they're specifically using the name Ralph, and this was just a way offshoot, a comic from like the 60s on just something that Marvel, I don't even think it was technically Marvel, I think it was just some sub-company of Marvel did. And that's why it's leading me towards this being the Necronomicon. And because I was like, it's eerily
indeed a deep dive.
Zane, this is the type of crap that I devour.
Right.
I am everything. I have just pushed everything off the table, the metaphorical table, and now I am eating what Zane is serving me.
You guys are gonna have to take a little bit more time to wiki stuff because Zane is an expert Googler, so he did all this really quick. But it's going to take you guys a little bit more time to look it all up.
We have literally, Isaac, how long have we been on this right now? How long have we been recording?
Like an hour and a half.
Dude, we have to end this show. My God,
we're still talking about WandaVision.
Let's go through the last
my
questions,
gosh.
then we will jump to the top 5. Here we go. Is Evan Peters Pietro? Isaac.
I think he is. Okay, here's where
for
I will...
correction for those that are just forgetting the question, is he Pietro from X-Men?
I think he is. At least his body is. Maybe he is being possessed by somebody of Agnes's control. I'm not sure about that. I just don't see why you would bring Evan Peters into this series and not connect it to the X-Men
And you've held that for about a month. You've thought that for about a month.
Right. I still do. And I think because we kind of were through for a loop the last episode when he basically described being shot to death, which is what happened in the MCU. But he had some odd differences from being shot to death, how it happened in the MCU. And I don't know, you guys, I listened to the episode that you guys made last week. And my thing is, why, if it has nothing to do with the X-Men universe, why wouldn't they just bring back Aaron Tyler Johnson?
I agree.
To play. It doesn't make any sense to bring in Evan Peters. They could have just brought him back because if he were dead in a different multiverse, why can't you just bring back this guy who's been dead for 5 years or whatever? That makes no sense.
I'm with you. So
I think it connects
Isaac.
somehow.
I also think now that we've seen Agatha controlling him from behind the scenes, I think that gives even more credence to that they pulled him from a different reality. I think the Nexus commercial really confirms that he's coming from another reality.
Right. That's why some of those details were a little odd and weren't completely correct. And that's why I think Wanda has been so confused around Pietro because he's telling her things that she doesn't remember or she doesn't recognize. And that could be just because he obviously is trying to play that part, but he doesn't know everything. So, but yeah, I think it connects somehow. There's no reason why they would bring back
I
Evan
think there's
Peters
no
for it
question
if
we're
they
getting a
didn't
Sweet
connect it
Dreams
somehow.
moment by the end of this season. I think episode 9, we're getting a Sweet Dreams moment where nobody's moving and he's running around everybody.
I'd be down.
I totally think that's
what's
what's
my
happening.
gosh,
in the X-Men
Max.
universe.
I wet my pants.
I'm legit. I'm serious.
Shut
I think they're gonna do it, and I think he might stay in their universe too. I think there might not be a way for him to go back, and that's partly why Wanda goes and helps him with Doctor Strange, is to get him back. and then he becomes the Quicksilver of our world. Zane and Mark.
All right. Well, I'm actually surprised that you agreed with me, Max, because you were
Well,
not
after
on
this
that train
episode,
last
it was.
week or
I
2
mean,
weeks
she's
ago.
controlling him, so it's like
Yeah.
the evidence changes week to week. People, I'm going to change my mind. I'm one of those people. I'm not going to hold to it just because I want to.
Well, no, and I'm glad you're like able to just change direction, because there's no way that we could have watched the first 2 or 3 episodes and nailed
Not
anything
a
in the show.
chance.
We like even now on episode 7, we're still like have no idea what's going on. We're still putting forth all these conspiracy theories and like saying what could be, but we still don't know. All of this could be like completely
gobbledygook, right?
I want to make a stand and say I declared Evan Peters to be.
You
playing
did,
Quicksilver.
and you and Isaac both said that would be
I will
him.
die on that hill.
But again,
I will
Mark,
die on
like
that hill.
you're we
Isaac and I will be
pay
back to
attention
back
to those
cutting
things, Mark.
heads off of the non-believers.
But Mark, we pay attention to those things. Other normal people don't pay attention to those things. Normal people who are watching this show didn't know that he was going to be in this show. That was like a sideswipe to them. Like it was a sideswipe to us that he showed up, but part of us knew that he would show up eventually because we just know and we follow these casting rumors and things like that. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you called that, but you had a little piece of information that other people didn't.
right. Well, I think we all knew it was coming at some point, that the X-Men or the X-Men universe would somehow get meshed into the MCU, but we just had no idea when it was going to happen. So that's why it was such a huge deal when it finally did happen.
I think it was
what
the timing
episode
of when it
5?
happened. It's not that it happened. It's happened like, wow, that was quick. X-Men just showed up.
Exactly.
Zane and Mark, is Evan? We're gonna go quick now. We gotta move quick. Is he X-Men Pietro? Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Mark is with us. Zane says no. Zane, real quick thoughts. Why not?
There's just something about it, like just the way it's set up. There's too many seeming questions that I think it's going to be another twist.
Is the fly, or I'm sorry, is the cicada a representation? Is that Mephisto? Is that Mephisto? I'm saying yes.
I don't think so.
Zane says no. Mark.
Oh,
I as much as I want both to happen, I'm just gonna say no. I think it's a red
That's
herring.
fine.
I'll speak
Isaac.
with it. Be quick.
Oh boy, this is a hard one because I don't really have any solid opinion one way or the other. I'll say yes.
Why would you show the shot?
But
Makes no sense to show the shot.
yeah, right, exactly. That's kind of the same deal. Like I don't. It's important somehow, and I don't see who else or what else it could be. So sure, let's go.
Do
let's
we
go with
all
Mephisto.
agree that the hex is going to grow again? I think we all are kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I
against
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
That's going to be a
think so.
huge thing happening. Will we see mutants by episode 9?
We already have.
Mark's argument is they've already been introduced. I'm going to say no. I said yes, but I just think they're running out of track. I think they got a lot of things they got to get done, and I don't think this is.
I think they're going to leave it very open-ended.
I agree. That's where I think.
Unless we get that secret 10 episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
maybe
think
we'll
so,
get the
too.
secret 11th through 15th episode too. You know, maybe Falcon and Winter
Shut your
Soldier
mouth.
just is WandaVision season 2.
Oh my god, that would be insane. That would be the biggest swerve of like,
Anthony Mackie
doke.
and them just got paid to do a couple
gosh.
commercials. That's it.
commercial.
They're not even in it.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
What is Hayward's plan right now? We briefly touched on him, but do we have any idea of what he's trying to plan?
I think he wants. You want to hear a deep dive from me? I think Hayward is trying to bring back Ultron. I think Ultron wasn't completely destroyed, just like Jarvis was
love
able to hide himself. I believe he was trying.
I heard a conspiracy theory on TikTok that Hayward is actually Ultron.
I was gonna get there. Go on, because I'm all in on this.
He's trying to get Vision, obviously, for obvious reasons, so he could probably inhabit his body.
And
I would
it's
assume.
on for whatever reason. I don't know where the source is, but on IMDb, Spader is credited as Ultron in this series. I don't know how he's on there. I don't know why he's on there. When you Google this show, he pops up on the list of cast. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's like a toss-up to me. It could go either way. I'm trying to wrap my head around what that means. I think what's going to happen is the Hex is going to grow and Hayward is going to become Grim Reaper. That's what I think is going to happen. I think he'll be Grim Reaper and then they'll kill him and that'll get the audience all excited that somebody died. Because it's going to be hard to kill Agatha Harkness, I think. But if we take the Robbie approach with all this.
Or Agatha kills the twins.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's that would make a lot of sense and check a lot of boxes they need to check.
Man, we didn't even really get into it, but I kind of have like a mild feeling that Agatha is still kind of on Wanda's side.
I think so too.
I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I don't know. For some reason, my gut is telling me that she's still trying to look out for Wanda.
Because I've actually, to echo on that, I've been having this feeling of the reason why she's been controlling things is because they can't trust Wanda because she's going to go completely out of control. And so she's in there doing all this stuff to placate her, to not get her mad. Because look at her, anytime there was stuff that upset her or questioned the outside status quo, she would come in to stop it.
She was in there helping fix things.
Part of me, that's why I kind of agree with that. Like, I think she's trying to keep her contained, not necessarily in a villain sense, but like this, I'm doing this for your own good. It sets me up to be the villain, but I'm doing this for your own good because you can't do this right
episode
now. Or someone else is trying to do it.
Hold on, Mark. I know you're about to talk.
No.
I just would add, I would say,
I got piggyback.
I know. Just one sec. I think none of this is, I would take a different approach to this. I think right now she's the villain. I think in her mind she thinks she's the villain because she's being controlled by some greater force. I think by the end of the season we're going to see her start to release by this, or maybe in Doctor Strange we see her released from it, and then she becomes more of a mentor role behind the scenes. Obviously in the comics she dies and still talks to Wanda in the afterlife, so they could do that as well with this, and maybe that's the route she takes. But I think she's bad right now, and I think this episode air quotes confirms that. Confirmations are loose in the show. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, to like just really solidify what Zayne said, in TV shows, movies, in the Marvel universe especially, have done this where you get a little foreshadowing of something in the beginning of it, the movie or episode, and it kind of plays out in the end. Monica says like this whole like how we should actually handle Wanda to Hayward, and Hayward's like, no, he kiboshes it. And that, I think, brings back, I think Agatha is doing that. She's she knows she needs to solve this problem, and I think she's going about that route about, hey, we got to calm this down, we got to calm Wanda down to save everybody. So
I think you guys are giving too much credit to her, but that's just my opinion. Who is Ralph? I'll go ahead and start us off. It's Mephisto.
Well, you know what I think
it's
now.
Mephisto. So there we go. Zane, you think it's the I don't even remember the name of the book.
Some random Ralph guy from whatever rabbit hole that you went down.
No, so it's definitely the rabbit hole, but my thoughts is either what if Ralph is like his soul is like caught in the book? What if the book in a way is Ralph? Or Mephisto has Ralph's soul, and that's why Agatha's doing this.
Convoluted, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Right.
Hey, good answer. If this was Family Feud, I'd say good answer and start clapping. I want you to know that. I'd support you.
I'm going to go with Zane. I'm on Zane's side there.
Okay, Isaac's,
sure. We'll
Isaac's
say the book is Ralph.
Mark, go ahead. We're in the weeds. We're searching. What conspiracy
We're going in
theory
the
are we
weeds?
taking now?
Well, it depends. Sometimes Ralph has been associated with, the devil. So that's like another play on words. We got what, we brought up with the Necronomicon. We brought up what Zane and Isaac's piggybacking on. What if Ralph is just a regular dude? I would love that.
He's just like chilling in the basement watching TV or
yeah,
something.
like he sees everything that's going on, but like he lives with her. It's like his wife. He's just like, I love her, and like that's all it is.
Well, yeah,
it's like that's the comedy part.
Really great, but she's acting really weird, and everyone's like going in black and white outside. But I'm dealing with it. I'm working with it.
And that's the aerospace engineer. It's John Krasinski, Reed Richards. He turns into Mr. Fantastic. Boom, Fantastic Four.
Ralph is Bruce Wayne.
Well, no, that would be too deep of a multiverse for you.
And Optimus Prime.
And Optimus Prime. And
He-Man.
Goku. That's a lot of WandaVision talk. And every episode we get a little more in, but we can't help it. And the reason you're listening right now is probably because of WandaVision.
Episode 8 for the 3-hour episode.
Yeah, who cares? Let's keep the conversation going, okay? Head on over to our Discord channel. I'll include a link in our show notes to that. You can check us out on theinfinitybros.com. Head over to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Reach out to us. We'd love to keep the conversation going with you. Let's head over to the top 5.
We're going in 3. Infinity Bros.
2.
top 5 list starts now. This week we wanted to talk about the top 5 origin stories, given that Photon had an origin story. So we're going to do top 5 origin stories. We'll start with our honorable mentions. Are there any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions are Venom and Batman.
Cool. Thanks, Zane.
Anytime.
AJ comes on and Zane has honorable mentions. How about that? How about that, Zane? Mark, there's no charity. I'm assuming you don't have any honorable mentions.
That is correct.
All right, number 5. We'll start with you, Mark.
I'm blank. I didn't write it down, but I have it in my head. How Tim Allen becomes Santa Claus. What's that?
Hold
Jingle
on.
All the Way,
I thought
right?
we were just doing comic books. Is this any character?
Like I told you, if you don't specify,
That's
to
a
me
good point.
what you exactly what
Honestly,
you want,
Mark, the Tim
my
Allen
mind
Santa
run
Claus
wild.
story is a great origin story. I'm not mad about it. I really like it.
I'll
Is
allow
that
it.
Jingle All the Way? Is that?
Not only will I allow it, I'm considering changing my list. Go on.
I gotta come back. Come back to me. I'll find the name of the movie.
The Santa Claus. That's what the movie's called.
Is the Santa? Oh,
Yes, it's called the
Jingle All the Way.
Santa Claus.
Is the? How do I have Jingle All the Way in my mind? Because that's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what? It's the Santa Claus. Are you messing with me right now? Am I being punked?
Oh man, I was just forgetting.
I went like all comic book characters on this, so I feel like a total dodo.
Same.
Whatever.
Same.
Oh, good. Okay,
Mark's the only one.
Good. Zane, you go ahead and go number 5.
My number 5 is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I don't think there's a more overrated superhero group in the history of people
Wow,
than
okay.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, Max.
I cannot. I just don't get the infatuation of the TMNT.
Because they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And they eat pizza, Max.
And they eat pizza and ride skateboards.
And they have a ride at Mall of
And
America.
you raise them.
And they fight the foot.
And they've
they
been in
fight
like
Foot
50 different
and
renditions
Shredder.
of cartoon shows. And they had a really crappy 80s and 90s movie. And,
Well, okay,
and they
guy.
had a crossover with Batman one time. And they had a crossover with the Power Rangers. in Power Rangers
and
Go to
Batman.
Space.
And the Justice League.
And the Justice League.
JK, I'm thinking of Power Rangers. Man, I
The Power Rangers in Space episode where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles come on is one of the worst Power Rangers episodes of all time. Pure hatred. Zane, nobody's wrong on our show, Zane, but you're making a strong argument for me to philosophically change my thought process. Number 5 for me is Captain America, and if you don't like it, you hate America. Go ahead, Isaac.
My number 5, in light of Mark's, is Ronald McDonald.
What is his origin story? I'm not familiar. Can you help me understand his origin story?
I'm just kidding.
Did he
I have
get
no
bit
idea.
by a radioactive clown?
Radioactive cloud.
It's like if an Eli Roth movie ended with a happy ending.
Gosh, it's terrifying. No, my number 5 is Batman. It's iconic. It's hard not to put up there on an origin story list.
Number 4, Mark.
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, yes.
Oh man,
Great
I love Mark's list.
Great
Well,
stuff.
Mark, I'll tell you, after this episode, we needed your list. We needed it. We needed that last little power surge. Zane, number 4.
Mark is the Andes Mint of our dinner right
Seriously,
now.
my gosh. He is, after a big old pot.
My
plate
What
of
is
pasta
what is
from
a
Olive
little
Garden,
wafer?
You get that little Andes mint, and it just makes you feel nice and warm in your tummy.
Nice and refreshed. My number 4 is Broly from the Dragon Ball Z universe.
Okay. All right. I like that, actually. That's a callback, too. A lot of people don't know that character.
That's true.
I like that.
It's good.
Good call. Number 4 for me is Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider's got a sweet origin story.
That is a good one. I was considering putting. That
Yeah, I really like that one. And there's tons of different eras of Ghost Riders, too. Zane knows way more about Ghost Rider than me. I'm not going to pretend that I know a ton about Ghost Rider.
Love it.
But I thoroughly enjoy that origin story. And and I specifically like the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider
Heck yeah, bud.
for Isaac. I knew he was coming on, so I needed to make sure I did that. Number 4, Isaac.
My number 4 is Captain Marvel, not the Lady Captain Marvel, but Shazam. I just think it's really cool that he, as a child, becomes an awesome superhero. it kind of is like, I think this latest movie too did a really great job of like drawing, like, obviously kids like superheroes, but they're able to place themselves in his shoes better than, say, you know, Superman or Batman, who are adults who deal with adult issues. Like, Billy's a kid and he deals with kid issues, so I think that's really cool.
Number 3, Mark.
Wow. Okay. Zero.
Well, I don't know what do you want us to say. Hey,
Well,
Isaac, number 4 is really great. You're the best pick at number 4.
I love it.
Thanks, man.
He's my
Thanks.
favorite DC hero.
Appreciate it.
Isaac, we aren't your wife. We aren't here to just affirm you and everything you say.
Sometimes you get taken out behind the woodshed and you get beaten up a little bit like Zayne with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, I was actually looking for something bad that somebody was going to say about it, but
Yeah, Shazam Wales, I just thought it was a little rude how you kind of attacked Captain Marvel slightly in the Marvel universe with it, but it's fine. It's a good movie.
Well, I mean, DC's Captain
he was
Marvel
Captain Marvel
first.
first.
I don't care if it was
so-
first. I didn't like the tone at which you said it. You wanted negative feedback. Here's your negative feedback.
Oh, okay.
I don't like your.
Well, Mark, why don't you go number
Okay.
3 then?
All right.
You want
I
my
want your number 3. Yeah,
Number
not
3?
your number 4, not your number 2, your number 3.
It's Willy Wonka.
This is the best top 5 we've ever done. Just Mark's, not ours. Ours are.
What is his origin story? Like, none of these people have origin story. I mean, the Santa Claus is like an origin story.
Read a book or watch a movie, bro.
Read a book about. Okay, yeah, you're right. Willy Wonka is in a book. You're
The
right.
Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, we get a little throwback to when he was a boy.
Johnny Depp Willy Wonka.
It's
First
in
of all,
the
we're not even going to
universe.
reference Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. We're going to reference Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka. Come on, Mark. There's the negative feedback.
In the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, did you see his origin story there, Max? Can I reference his
Yeah, sure,
origin
you
story
can.
there?
Yeah,
No. Read a book. Read a book and read the definition of origin. Because
You're
that
right.
was
I
not
need
the
to read
origin.
a
That
book.
was Act 3 of
Yeah,
his
okay,
life.
I'll read a book. Zayne number 3.
My number 3 is The Punisher.
Very heavy, but very good. Makes the character that much stronger and better. Number 3 is Iron Man for me. And I'm specifically pulling from the movie. Because not all of it aligns in the comics as well. I'd say I like the movie storyline, and I think his origin has become in cinema iconic. So go ahead, Isaac.
True. My number 3 is Captain America. I mean, he's got an awesome inspirational story. There's nothing cooler than watching the weak kid become the big strong guy who's gonna protect everybody. So, love Captain America.
Mark, number 2.
Are you sure you want it?
I don't. I am not sure.
I'm
that
so
I want
ready
it.
for it,
Buckle
Mark.
up.
Cat dog. Horrifies me to this day.
Are you just like Googling like a random character and you're just like pumping it out? Is that how you did this?
Oh my gosh.
Do you see? Is there a phone in my hands?
Cat dog is a firm 3 out of 6. Very firm, middle of the pack at best. Cartoon. All right, Zayne, number 3. I'm sorry, number 2. Number 2.
My number 2 is Ghost Rider.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Let's go, Zayne. Let's go. Isaac, I'll go number 2 then. My number 2 belongs to Magneto. I like Magneto's storyline. I like his connection to history.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know how the MCU in particular is going to do that. Like he's going to have to be a survivor of the Holocaust, I think. It's still in this universe. I still think they can make that character young enough to do it. So, yeah. Go ahead, Isaac.
My number 2 is the Fantastic Four. I think America's First Family is a really cool way to kick off the whatever Silver Age of the comics. And man, yeah, it's just an iconic story, and I hope they get it right with the MCU. I have faith that they can get it right. But I honestly liked the origin story that they made with the first Fantastic Four movie. It just kind of suffered from being a very early superhero movie. So, but yeah, Fantastic Four, iconic again.
Mark, number 1.
Mine's Dr. Manhattan.
That's a good one. That actually is a serious one. There you go.
All of them were serious. You're not gonna comment? I googled that up too.
My God. I love that cat dog is number 2. I love that cat dog was ahead of the other. Like the Santa Claus is number 5. Tim Allen's Santa Claus, by the way. Not just Santa Claus, Tim Allen specifically. Santa Claus.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, all right. Okay.
But Dr. Manhattan's my number one.
All right, there you go. Zane, number one.
My number one is Spider-Man. Just about as classic as an origin story as you can come. It hits home to me.
You like seeing uncles pass away?
Sure. No, it's just I think it goes back to that was the first comic book I'd started reading. That was the first comic book movie. Like a lot of nostalgia there, and just the whole story of it, of the kid struggling to put stuff together. With great power comes great responsibility. Like it's just all of it. It's a very strong origin story.
Number one for me is Superman. It just aligns too much with the Messiah gospel proclamation a little bit. Mark and I have said, we've touted this on the show. I still think Zack Snyder fully understands that more than any other person. And so his origin story is unparalleled in my opinion. So Isaac.
Mine is Spider-Man as well. I mean, like you said, Zane, with great power comes great responsibility. It's a great personal story. And I mean, the driving factor in Spider-Man's whole motivation becomes guilt for like the rest of his life, basically. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's iconic. It's one of the best superhero origins out there, even though it's been done many, many times. But yeah, I don't think there's a better one out there than Spider-Man's origin story. It's a good one.
Isaac, are you excited to watch Uncle Ben die 3 times in Spider-Man 3?
Isaac can't wait.
Far From Ben.
I cannot wait. We're going to see all the Uncle Bens. Maybe they'll just round them all up in one place and get it all over.
Kill them all. So Bonesaw can come destroy them all.
I got you for 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
That's brilliant.
Oh, man. It's like the crazy stuff going around with Spider-Man 3, man. I'm super excited to see what's happening in that movie. It is. There's so many things going into it. WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2, and man, it's gonna be crazy.
Do you remember when we were scared as a group when there were talks where Disney and Sony aren't going to do Spider-Man 3 together, and we were like, no, that's impossible. And then Kevin Feige worked his way in and basically
Worked his magic.
Did like a trade destroy on another team where you just swiped all their picks and you gave them jerked off.
Yeah.
Tons of build up for Jared Goff. Yeah, I feel bad for Tom Holland. I feel bad for him because he just can't keep his mouth shut, and they're asking him over and over and over what it's like to work with Garfield and Maguire. And you know he's already worked. You know he's worked with them. You know they're doing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you know it's pretty much like all done because there's been so many reports and rumors about it. But that stupid young 20-year-old kid is out there just like bold-faced lying to people, and he feels terrible about it. You can just tell.
Well, it's in their blood. Kevin Feige already lied to us.
Kevin Feige's on another level of lying.
You'll let Kevin Feige lie to you?
Yeah, to get what I've been getting? Yeah, I will. Yeah, you're
Sure.
right.
Good point.
I mean, it's an hour long. No, it's not. It's 30 minutes. Screw you. I'll see you next week. Yeah, it's bad. So keep the conversation going with us. Let us know what you think about our top 5. Where did we get it right? Where did Mark get it terribly wrong? Let us know.
Or vice versa.
Or Mark.
Or Max.
Or Mark. TheInfinityBros.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can check us out on Twitch. I didn't really talk about Twitch earlier. We've been doing some seriously great things. Robbie's been playing some serious Valheim on there, which I would like the group to know because I'm not the biggest video game guy. I actually think that game looks pretty sweet.
He's cranking out the content, dude.
The Viking theme looks pretty sweet. I'm interested to take a peek at it and give it a shot at it. My paternity leave's ending for me, so I'm going to actually be probably next week or the week after diving into some Kingdom Hearts streams, so you'll definitely want to avoid that at all costs on our Twitch. And but check us out. Make sure you swing by and say hey. Keep the conversation going. We'd love to hang out with you. Isaac, thanks for coming on, man. It was fun having you.
It has been a pleasure.
Zane, I'm proud of you for not geeking too hard over AJ Mansour being here. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you. I did my very best.
We'll see you in July, okay? Mark, thanks again for coming on. You're the best, man.
Yeah, thanks, Lucky 2 Max. I'm glad we were able to stretch this one episode to almost 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I know, this is literally only a
Good luck editing.
I'm telling you, we had probably another hour and a half worth of content to get to that we've just scrapped.
Oh yeah,
easily.
absolutely.
We'll have to talk about it next week. So, well, as always, we thank you as well, Infinity Bros Universe, wherever you listened, however you listened. Thanks for making us part of your day. We love you 3000. We will see you soon. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.